feel like I'm at the beach.
I think that's the idea.
That is specifically the idea that I had when I wrote that song. So, a damn beach, specifically. Anyways, welcome to Sounds Like Liberty, episode number 67, here at the Launchpad Media, where we are always launching ideas in your direction. I'm Nikki P, here with my lovely wife and co-host, Lizzie. How you doing today, Lizzie?
I'm doing all right. Hello.
Okay, that's better than the first take.
Yeah.
A little more energy.
Yeah.
So, folks, have you stopped by the SoundsLikeLiberty.com recently? Because my wonderful wife here, mother to my beautiful child, spends an inordinate amount of time taking notes and then writing those notes about the show and putting them online for all of you to enjoy. Seeing all the things that we talk about. Personally, I think it's a huge service that she does to humanity. But
it's mostly just so you can follow the links.
Okay, but humanity follows links, Liz. Do they not? Or you think that we have a lot of animals on the show?
Know.
You know what? If you're there and you're thinking, you know what? I love what this podcast adds to my life. And I can understand why you would feel that way. Maybe you'd think about joining the Freedom Choir, helping us out a little bit, help keep the lights on, help take care of all those bills to create this exquisite product. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to do something for free. You're not doing something to get nothing. So if you do join, we got a couple tiers there. But if you get to the actual meat of it, what's really there is the Married to Liberty bonus segment that we do and the Year-Round Tree Christmas podcast that Liz and I used to do, which we may or may not continue. You'll be starting up again here coming up in this wintertime.
Okay.
Or next week, I don't know. I really don't know what to say. You know, you also get all of the raw interviews, which includes a lot of the cutting room floor stuff that just doesn't make it to the shows.
There's usually quite a bit.
I'm just saying, if you're looking to support us and help us, you know, make Christmas good for me mostly, a little bit of Irma, sometimes Liz. You know, I'm sure we'd love to have you over there. You know, and if you want to have fun conversing with some of the other people on the podcast we talk to, or just some of the people that tend to mill around these parts, might I recommend the Sounds Like Liberty discussion board, where you can talk to all sorts of thuggish, ruggish bones.
Indeed.
Liz is looking at me very quizzical at that one.
That was a legit.
Look, Liz, we live in Cleveland. We're Bone Thugs and Harmony fans for life. Ride or die.
It's just amazing because you were doing a smooth thing and then you just threw in the street slang and just amazed.
There wasn't street slang. It was me referencing a song called Thuggish Ruggish Bone.
Oh, okay. Well, as we know, I know nothing of street slang anyway, so.
Yeah, it's cute that you thought it was street slang. No, it's just me being an idiot.
Okay.
So, and lastly, if you don't have your fill of listening to me ramble on about crazy shit, you can go and listen to me talk about the environment at Free Market's Green Earth. Talk about being a musician, making money at The Introvert Musician. Or if you just want to hear about other fantastic libertarian podcasts, check me out at This Week in Liberpods. All that formal bullshit out of the way. Lizzie, what do we have for people today?
Today we have an interview with a lady.
Did you just suddenly become Tim Meadows?
Maybe. We have Rachel Kennerly on the show today. I'm super, super excited. Not just because she's a lady.
Because you love weed. You're a big pothead and she's...
No, actually, I'm not really into weed at all. At all. But
she likes acid, folks.
No, I've never done acid. But it was just super cool guest to have on the show. And, you know, we talk about things like being from the Bible-y belt. And
look, are we just trying to
also
set up the fact that I'm a horrible heathen and that you are this wonderful Christian person trying to help me straighten my life out?
Because that's not what I'm doing, and that's not who you are. So we're just going to move right on.
I mean, I'm pretty sure anyone who listens to this for any length of time knows I am, in fact, a terrible heathen. But
I mean, I suppose that depends on your theology.
I guess.
But yeah, we talked about that and just talked about Hope and why she does her show, and like she laid some stories.
Just
on
doing
us
the
and just
Lord's work.
blew our
Praise
minds.
the Jesus.
And yeah. I don't know.
Look,
What-
Liz, in
what did
another
you-
life, I could have been a minister. I
mean,
could have been up there. Give the money. Praise Jesus and give the money.
I think you're ministering in a different way now. There you go.
At the Church of Capism, the Church of Freedom,
Perhaps.
the Church of Freedom Fries. That sounds like a church I can get behind.
What the heck were Freedom Fries? It sounds familiar.
Well, it's back in 9/11,
Oh, geez.
the original one, like
I see.
the not the sequel, the original.
Where everything was freedom.
Everyone was upset that we would have something named after the French, pathetic French, and so they decided they needed to change the name of French fries to Freedom Fries.
That's so dumb.
Yes, most of the shit that those types lock on is pretty dumb. So you were
All
correct.
right, right on.
So, anyways, we will not belabor you with any more of our shenanigans. We'll simply say enjoy this first song before we get into our interview with Rachel Kennerly of the Cannabis Heals Me podcast.
The earth and listen. We hear them calling.
Hey,
Oh, there we go.
Hey.
sorry.
No, it's all good.
Little technical difficulties here
No,
on
it's
my end.
far too early for me, so plenty of being difficult.
Do you work nights?
Sort of.
Nick is a vampire, so you know the light of the day star is uncomfortable for him.
So are you wearing your garlic necklace?
No. I'm immune. We have an understanding.
Gotcha.
I'm shiny. So
Me too, but I'm not a vampire.
I'm the shiny vampire. Or is it a greasy vampire? I am Italian.
Oh,
Greasy Dago
What is it?
vampire.
Like there's sparkling or whatever on the oh crap, what is it? Teeny bopper thing.
I can't even
Twilight.
think of it now. Yes,
Twilight,
that
yeah.
thing.
Like,
Yes.
Yeah, he's supposed to sparkle or something.
Yeah.
Robert
I've
Pattinson.
never- Yeah, I've never actually watched that, so I don't.
It's the single worst treatment of vampires ever.
I think I saw parts of the first one. My brother, mind you, he owns all of them and he enjoys it. And God
Oh,
bless
wow.
him. He's
He's
a great guy.
a closeted gay man, I'm pretty certain. But
It sounds like it.
but yeah. What are you gonna do? Anyways,
yes, at any rate, we have we're short on time now because I didn't wake the fuck up.
I'm super excited to have you on the show, though. This is
Wait,
been,
is that because you don't get to talk to other girls very much?
That is also.
I mean, that's definitely a factor. I'm not gonna lie.
I think the only thing we talk to black people less than we talk to women, though.
Fair enough.
You could get Maj on.
That would be an interesting. I don't know what I would say to Maj.
Just be
Yeah.
like, yep, you're doing good stuff, dude. All right. Interview.
Yeah.
Like
I love what he's doing.
I feel like he's
Yeah.
too authentically black for me,
over.
and like I feel like I'm culturally appropriating, but not trying to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, anyways, welcome Rachel Kennerly to the
Well-
Sounds Like Liberty podcast. How are we doing today?
I'm doing well. thank y'all for having me on. I appreciate it.
She was like, I'm very confused because this is a music podcast. And I kept telling Nick, I'm not really into music and don't know much about music. I'm cool. We'll get creative.
I am into music, but my music is probably pretty boring compared to what most people that come on your podcast talk about.
No. It can't possibly be any more boring than the music Liz listens to.
This is true.
What do you listen to, Liz?
I mean, Barbara
Rufus Wainwright.
Streisand popped up on my list last week, my playlist, and I did not turn it off. So, you know.
I'm more of a Barry Manilow kind of person.
He was in there too. I like Barry.
Looks
That's
like
funny.
we made it.
Yeah, right on.
So, it can't possibly be any more boring than some of the stuff I listen to.
I don't know. That's pretty boring. I got to tell you. I don't think I've ever listened to a Barbara Streisand episode or song. Maybe not on purpose, anyway.
It's probably for the best.
Yeah, it's not always the most upbeat music ever. So there's that.
I mean, it's with this thing, and I feel like she's always yelling in the music.
She projects.
She's doing the Jew yell.
She resonates. I don't know about all that.
She's all like, I don't know, nebbish and.
Nope. Not going there with you. All right.
You don't have to go there with me. Whatever. It's not
So-
anti-Semitic. I think that she just sounds like she's Jewish.
What do you like to listen to there, Rachel?
Well, I'm like I said, this is going to be like the worst.
Not at
Y'all
all.
are going to be like, who? Well, Nick already said I don't know who that is. When I think I said Vern Gosdin. He's like, who's that?
Oh, okay.
But I mostly listen to like 80s and 90s country.
Oh,
Well,
so like
I know.
Randy Travis kind of stuff. Travis Tritt.
Oh,
Are we in that wheelhouse?
I think she means.
Travis Tritt, but Randy Travis,
No,
not so much him.
I'm more of a Dwight Yoakam kind of guy.
Yeah, Dwight's okay. Probably like
He's all hillbilly,
as far as
and that's why I like him. Reminds me of home.
I like. Yeah,
Plus
where are
tight
you
jeans,
from?
you know. I grew up in rural New York, so lots of
I really
lots of
think
guns
hillbilly
and
when I think-
cows around us.
all right.
Yeah, if you don't know this, so like New York is two places. There's this shitty city that tries to dictate how everyone else lives, and then just a bunch of fucking country. Like I have a friend who grew up in West Virginia, and the first thing he thought when he visited my hometown was, "Holy shit, this feels just like West Virginia."
Yeah,
so,
There you go.
Yeah.
to give you a frame of reference, people really don't understand what New York is like.
no, because you always think New York City.
Yeah.
Like
When you
I,
think New York.
I joke with people. It's not even a joke. I just my high school, like my school district. I graduated with 86 kids, and it would take you an hour and a half to drive across the district from one end to the other
Dang.
to get 86 kids.
Wow.
At one point, I think it was 3 other school districts that all combined.
Yeah. Well, a friend of mine lives in New York. They moved up there. Her husband's a doctor, and he got a job up there. And I think they live in a more rural part of the state.
That's all of
And
the
she
state.
she was planning on putting her kids in public school, or her daughter,
Mhm.
but they passed this new law where everybody has to be vaccinated, and she's never been vaccinated.
Oh,
So she's like, nope, not putting my kids in school.
yeah.
Well, I mean, to give you an idea of the scope of how fucking big New York State is, I grew up in the state. I've never even seen New York City other than on like TV and shit.
Wow.
Because New York State or New York City was still an 8-hour drive for me to get to.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Yeah, that's a pretty good stretch of the legs.
within the state, it would take me 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have Buffalo, Cleveland. I think Chicago wasn't even that far from me, and that's like 3 states over.
Oh, wow.
It's just New York is massive, and people don't. And not only is it massive, it is just very rural. So you're not. There's no straight drive. You're driving through hills and valleys the entire way to get anywhere.
Yeah.
I do miss it aesthetically, though. It is a beautiful fucking state that they have ruined with taxes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyways, we were talking about your musical tastes, not my terrible hillbilly upbringing.
So country mostly is what I'm getting.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, yeah.
From Texas.
Yeah, exactly. Now, mostly country, and I don't like the new stuff because it's just
Pop
junk.
music?
Yeah.
Sure,
Like-
like country.
You mean you're
Yeah,
not
it's
bumping
like-
Old Town Road?
Oh no. Now my son, yes,
Yes,
but me,
okay.
no. But there's a lot of other things, worse things he could be listening to, I suppose.
I
And I was
suppose.
hoping by homeschooling him, we would be able to keep him from having any outside influence into crappy music.
Yeah, we tried that too. Our kid's 5, and it's already like not worked. She loves like a couple Katy Perry songs. I'm like trying to limit the catalog there, and
She also really likes Florence and the Machine.
she does. So
And she
it's
likes
not all-
Goldfish, so some of it's good.
All hope is not lost.
Yeah. So we kind of do the same thing with Skylar. We listen to, like I said, the older stuff like Keith Whitley and Vern Gosdin, George Jones, kind of the old 70s, 80s, 90s type stuff. And then my mother,
I'm I mean, to be honest, I'm super ecstatic about your list because like I've never heard of any of them. In the 90s, I was definitely way tuned into country. So it's like, man, she's just got nothing but the deep cuts. Maybe Texas truly is its own planet down there.
I mean, there's a lot of
Those are
space.
pretty big-
and-
They're completely cut off
Maybe
from
so.
everyone else. I've never heard of any of these people. And
or maybe you were isolated in your rural upbringing in the backwoods of New York State.
I will say is that there definitely was an effect that like it would take 10 to 15 years for things to catch up.
Yeah.
Up there, because we're still talking back before computers are really a thing, like when I grew up. So, other than terrestrial radio, you didn't have anything, so it would take a while for things to kind of disseminate. So, there probably is actually a degree of that.
There you go.
But it was also before like Clear Channel owned all of the radio stations. So
Yeah.
things just didn't move as quickly. Like I had MTV, so I was kind of up on pop music, but I don't even think CMT existed at that point, really.
Yeah, they probably. Yeah, I don't even watch that because it's mostly just the pop country nowadays. So.
Yeah.
Well, my husband and I are actually going to see Steve Wariner in concert down in the Woodlands on
That name does at least sound familiar.
Sunday.
That sounds like a good time.
More of an 80s. And it's in a smaller venue. It's a restaurant venue called Do-Si Do. So it's
Okay, I like the name.
not a huge venue. And so it'll be kind of almost like a private concert almost.
That's kind of awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that.
Well, Liz jumped in and started asking about music right off the bat, but I was, figured my guests would probably like to know a little bit about who the hell you are and why we would ask you on the show anyways. So why don't you give us a little bit of that?
Well, honestly, I'm with your guess. I'm like, what? Why? I guess probably the thing that you've probably seen me is I have a podcast called Cannabis Heals Me. And what I do on the podcast is I interview
So you're a
people.
raging stoner. Is that what that means?
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I've never consumed. And most people think I'm full of horse manure when I say that, but I'm not, because I had bought, as a child or teenager, I totally bought into the narrative of the DARE program in my local high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm also a Christian, and I don't feel like that's something that I need. And I don't cast judgment on those people who do need it for medical purposes or want to use it for recreational as well. But that's just not something that, if I had a medical need for it, I would use it. But since I don't, I don't.
That's always my favorite part about the Rachel Kennerly story is I host a weed podcast and I don't use weed.
Well, people just think I'm full of crap, and then I'm just saying that, but it's really true. And then the other thing is, I'm in a state where it's not legal, and for my day job, I'm a licensed certified public accountant. And if I get, busted with a felony, I lose my license and my livelihood. So there's also that to consider as well.
Oh, I know that feeling well.
That's super libertarian of you, though, to be all like, you know what? I don't even use this, but I'm gonna gonna fight for your right to use this.
Well, and that's to me, that's what it all comes down to. It comes down to personal liberty. Does the government have the right to tell us what we can and can't put in our body? And I believe that they absolutely do not.
Well, and especially with your podcast, you definitely focus more on the human stories and like how this affects people. Like some of them are downright hard to listen to because it is just so.
Right.
I like people in very, very precarious situations and the government trying to stick its fucking hands between them and the one thing that they have that can make them feel better.
Right, exactly. I mean, and a lot of the people that I talk to are in states that are illegal. Like I've talked to people that are here in Texas that are having to use this plant illegally. And that's just it's ridiculous that the government thinks that they should be able to stand between what people and their medication.
I was actually at a bar the other day and got into it with a guy because he was, he's like, no, it's legal. And I'm like, it's not legal. Even in the States, it's legal. It's not legal.
Yeah.
Like,
you're absolutely right.
It's still a federally classified drug. And while, yes, most states won't do anything about it, and I believe there is currently a standing federal order to not fuck with people over it, that can change at any minute.
Right.
And you're kind of at the mercy of the people, to not enforce it. Right. And thank God they don't enforce it, right? For the most part. But, there's an awful lot of fucking people in jail for something that you think is illegal right now, or something that you think is legal right now.
Right. And exactly. And there's people that are literally serving life sentences over cannabis. It's like, seriously? And this is in states where it's legal now. That's
another thing that you are very, very particular about from what I've seen, is that you always make sure to call it cannabis. Is there a particular reason for that from your perspective?
Well, the reason that I call it cannabis is because that's the Latin name. That's the actual name of the plant. And the way that marijuana why it's called marijuana is because that's kind of the Mexican term for this plant. And back in the 30s, when they were wanting to make this plant illegal, because cannabis was on the U.S. Pharmacopoeia from 1850 to 1942. And so when they decided they wanted this plant to be illegal, they had to start using the Mexican word for it, the Spanish word for it, of marijuana. And so when they started talking about this marijuana plant that made people crazy and made them go around killing people, well, it terrified people because it was this new thing that they'd never heard of. And what they didn't realize is that they were actually talking about the cannabis plant, that they could go down to their local pharmacy and their pharmacist would, dispense it over the counter to them. They didn't realize they were one and the same thing. But it's the way that government does everything. Everything they do, they try to motivate us through fear into making things illegal. Well, it's the same. It's the same thing over and over and over again. It's always about fear. We're going to find a way to make you scared so that you'll willingly give up your rights.
You listen to that newest episode of Free Market's Green Earth, and we'll talk about fear a little bit.
Yeah. I started listening to it last night, but it was like 12 when I started listening, so I fell asleep. So I didn't make it all the way through it.
Oof, there's some shit to be afraid of right now, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Come and go as you please, begging on your hands and knees. Give me a cure now, not later. Tell me you're sorry without a cliffhanger. Give me a call or give me the finger. Say hello and not hey stranger. Day left and right, overwhelming, so uptight.
Now I'm curious if there's a reason like why you would take the path of talking about marijuana, talk about cannabis, as opposed to some of the other things that people would choose to talk about? What is the reason that this one, did it hit close to home, or is it just because it is the thing that you, maybe is it because we're the closest to the starting line that you can see the real change in sight? Is it, or, just that you see this one being one of the most damaging?
Well, there's a couple of reasons why this kind of is something that I guess I'm more passionate about. I mean, really, honestly, in I think all drugs should be legal, that there shouldn't be any illegal drugs, but that is a really hard, right. I mean, seriously, but that's a really hard bridge to cross with the normies. So, so if we can start with cannabis, and we know that everyone is seeing more and more the actual medicinal benefits of this plant. We can start there. But kind of what interests me, what I guess got me interested in this is that like I said, I'm a CPA, and I got this email kind of out of the blue about this learning how to do accounting for cannabis companies, because there's this tax law called 280E, which means that legal cannabis, anyone who is trafficking in a Schedule 1 or Schedule 2 drug cannot deduct their ordinary expenses against their income. And so as a result, they have to pay higher taxes. And so these legal cannabis companies, the only things that they can deduct are cost of goods sold. So this program that I enrolled in, it kind of teaches you how to get more expenses out of the ordinary and expenses and move them up to cost of goods sold, because you can use cost of goods sold to reduce your taxable income. But so if you go into a dispensary and you see the nice facility and the people that are really helpful and helping you find what kind of cannabis you want to use, well, practically everything you look at in that dispensary, other than the product itself, none of that is deductible for income tax purposes. So like their rent that they're paying, their employees that they're paying to help you, none of that type stuff is deductible because of this tax law 280E. So as a result, people pay a lot more for cannabis because these cannabis companies are paying a lot more in taxes.
And so you went to educate about weed. It seems like you should have been educating people to just use Bitcoin instead.
I don't know enough about Bitcoin. And when I started this,
says the person in financial services.
Well, I do know there's like some screwy tax laws with relation to Bitcoin and that sort of stuff, but I don't know that much about you. Right. I mean, I live in East Texas. You talked about rural New York. I'm in rural East Texas.
Yeah.
The town I live in is like 30,000 people. So there's not a lot of people here in East Texas that use cryptocurrencies, or even probably know what a cryptocurrency is.
You could be the one educating them. You're spending all this time talking about weed.
Well, honestly, I'd rather talk about weed because when I talk about weed, people at least know what I'm talking about.
This is true.
It's true. You get into the economics, and it's just like watching somebody fog over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, kind of the twofold purpose of the podcast is I wanted to learn more about cannabis since I'm getting into providing services to legal cannabis companies. I wanted to learn more about cannabis because, like I said, I live in Texas. It's illegal here. I totally bought into the narrative of DARE and wanted to learn more about the plant and explore the medicinal purposes and kind of share those stories, because I think the laws need to change. There's a lot of people that provide services to the legal cannabis industry that are excited that it's still illegal on a federal level because they get to charge legal cannabis companies more money. But my philosophy is it shouldn't be illegal. I don't care if I make less money. I want it to be legalized. And Larry Sharp always talks about how it should be regulated like onions. But so let's do it that way, except not onions in Georgia, because apparently there's some crazy laws about onions in Georgia.
You've been talking to Ben too much.
Yep. Yeah. So I post something about, I'm like, oh, Larry needs to change his tagline. It doesn't need to be onions.
I think he says tomatoes a lot too.
Maybe so.
Okay.
Maybe so. I think tomatoes are a good place to go. But But I used to be a hardcore prohibitionist, and I believed everything they told me, that this was a terrible thing. And I went to my hair salon one day, and one of the ladies that worked there was just gone. And I'm like, "Where's Brittany?" And she's a single mom and has a couple of kids, and she worked all the time because she was supporting her family. And they're like, "She moved to Colorado." I'm like, "What? Why?" And she said, "Well, her son was having seizures, and she tried to get him enrolled in a study for CBD oil at Texas Children's here down in Houston, and he didn't qualify. He has a rare condition called Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, and he was having like 100 drop seizures a day, and the drop seizures are where you just fall over, kind of like the fainting goats.
Yeah.
Only, you're a 2-year-old kid that falls over, and he'd gotten to where he wouldn't even walk anymore because he would fall over. And so he was having, it was terrible. So he was having like 100 of those episodes a day. And she was trying to get him enrolled in this CBD oil study, which this was several years ago when CBD oil was just kind of starting. People were just starting to kind of become aware of it. And he didn't qualify. And the doctor told her, he said, "Now we've got this surgery that we can perform on him that might work to end his surgeries. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to cut the 2 hemispheres of his brain in half."
Oh, geez.
And and that might work to stop his seizures, but it might not, and it might leave him a vegetable. And by the way, if we find out that you use CBD oil with your son, we're going to call CPS and have him put in foster care. And so she packed her family up, and she moved to Colorado. She drove, basically within a week or two's time, packed up and moved to Colorado where she could get access to cannabis. And she started with high CBD strains of the plant, trying to figure out exactly because it's just a search. Most people spend 6 months to a year trying to find the exact right, combination of THC and CBD and the terpenes and all that to find what works with their condition. And it took her about a year. And basically, he needs a very high CBD strain and a very concentrated form of cannabis called, some people call it full extract cannabis oil. Other people call it Rick Simpson oil. But she'll take just a little drop. It's very thick, like a kind of tar-like substance. She'll take that and rub it on his gums every couple of weeks, just like a little tiny drop, like the size of a piece of rice, and rub that on his gums every couple of weeks. And he's been seizure-free as of the last time I talked to her in July of last year. He'd been seizure-free for a year and a half.
Wow.
And so you can't hear a story like that and think, okay, this plant should still be illegal. Her son should still be having 100 drop seizures a day.
Yeah.
And making multiple trips to the emergency room.
Right.
Via an ambulance. You're talking about huge medical costs related to this child. And now she gets his medicine in the form of a little, thing, and gives it to him every couple of weeks. That's it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so it was a story that kind of made me think, made me rethink my position on cannabis, because I just had this really, like I said, I totally bought the line. And so this story is what shifted my mindset. And so kind of the purpose of doing the podcast is to give stories to people that they can tell people or share with people that are hardcore prohibitionists and say, look, this is medicine. This isn't what you were told it is.
And here I thought that was going to be, a self-flagellation for being a prohibitionist for all that time. You gotta make it up cosmically.
Well, it's probably a little of that, but really my primary motivation is to try to get other people to see that this is medicine.
It's okay. I'm just trying to add some levity to the very, very sad moment we find ourselves.
Well, but it's very happy in the end.
It is. I understand.
Yes,
that.
Ultimately. Yeah, and the stories are rough.
But you still can't get away from the fact that those people are criminals,
Right. Yeah. and not, a lot of them have left. There's many people that have left states like Texas to go to states like Colorado, California. Oklahoma's medical cannabis law is amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if something were to happen to us or one of my family members, we would probably move to Oklahoma because their law is the fees are inexpensive, and the decision as to whether or not you need medical cannabis is between you and your doctor. There's not a list of qualifying conditions like there are in a lot of states. So it's very much patient friendly in Oklahoma. So if I were in a position where I needed that, and I'm just too chicken to break the law.
Rachel's a goody two shoes.
I am.
Adamant's playing in the background. Don't drink, don't smoke. What do you do?
Yes. I am a total goody two shoes. I got to tell you.
If it makes you feel any better, so am I. I fantasize
I don't believe that for a minute.
I fantasize about doing acid every minute of my life, but strangely enough, I don't ever make the time for it.
You've managed to avoid it.
Oh, I haven't avoided it. It's hard to find.
Where's Sidney Gottlieb when you need him?
Yeah.
Right?
So, on top of being a podcaster for the cannabis movement, you also happen to be a homeschooling parent. Is that correct?
It is.
And how is that? How old is you have the one child, or you have
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just one. He is 10.
Okay.
And
she's a little bit ahead of us on the curve here.
Yeah, well, we didn't, and kind of the way we got started with homeschool is, when we first bought our home back in 2006, we were really excited because we were moving to the nice school district here in this area. And we didn't have kids at the time. So we were really excited to be in a good school district. And when we have kids, they'll get to go to this good school district and get family that works at the school. And we lasted after Skylar, when he came along and then he was school age, he lasted a whole 2 weeks at public school. And it was just way too much stimulation for him. And so we moved to private school, and we spent about a year and a half, almost 2 years in private school. And then my mother-in-law had actually offered to homeschool him for us. And I'm like, have you met my kid? Well, do you want to spend 5 days a week with him? Because my husband and I both worked full time at that point. But she offered, and we're like, all right, sounds great. But then the old mom guilt started creeping in.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you don't know anything about that, Liz.
Oh, no, not at all.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone say the phrase as much as my wife.
It just, I was working full time. I had a good career. I liked the people that I worked with. I liked what I did for the most part. And just started feeling so guilty about basically handing off my child's education to my 60-some-odd-year-old mother-in-law. I won't say her name or her age on the air, just in case she wants to keep it a secret. Mm-hmm. But just felt guilty for being hands-off with regards to his education and schlepping that responsibility onto my mother-in-law. So we had an opportunity and then I got this opportunity that came up to go into working with legal cannabis companies, and decided to go out on my own and start my own firm. And then I would be able to kind of take over the homeschooling duties.
Hey, how's it going? Nikki P here. Want to support the show or just give a big middle finger to Patreon? Consider stopping over to supportSLL.com. Members of the Freedom Choir get access to the private Facebook group and actual physical merch. Want access to the unedited raw interviews as they're recorded way before they're released? It's in there. Is that not enough? And you want membership to Freedom Song 365? It's in there. There's even monthly bonus swag for top tier supporters. So head on over to supportsll.com. Help Liz and I get to libertarian functions and even just cover the costs of making the show. If I'm not a good enough salesman, how about this?
Support my mom and dad and Sounds Like Liberty. Go to supportsll.com.
You heard her, folks. Join the Freedom Choir at supportsll.com.
Well, I'm kind of curious, you said your mother-in-law was teaching, and your first thought is, do you really want to spend 5 days a week with my kid? but the first thing I'm thinking, well, there's no way with the individualized attention that you get with that you would need to spend 5 days a week to cover what you need to cover in public school. Like that's an afternoon to get a week's worth of education in.
Yeah. Well, they usually would knock out his work, and we do the same thing. We can usually, if he's focused and kind of on task, we can usually knock out the day's work in a couple hours, 3 hours. So, and he's a really smart kid. He just, he's a 10-year-old. He'd much rather be playing video games than doing math.
Yeah.
I think you're teaching math wrong. Anyone who wants to do anything other than math.
Well, yes, but you enjoyed calculus and you did that in high school. Not all of us have that in our brains.
It's because you have to see what the math is.
Well, yeah, but they don't teach math that way usually.
Well, that's exactly my fucking point. They don't teach math the right way.
Yeah. Well, I will say we changed our math curriculum because we were kind of using a Becca math curriculum, which is just boring math facts and speed drills and stuff like that. So I went to a homeschool convention this summer and found this new math called Schiller. And it's kind of a hands-on, and they have a lot of manipulatives so that it is very kind of a Montessori-based approach.
Okay.
So I invested in that. And I went ahead and started doing it with him this summer, and he calls it the fun math.
Oh, nice. That's always a good sign.
Yeah, exactly. So he actually wants to, he even wanted to come out on a Saturday and work on the fun math.
Nice.
So I think we're headed in the right direction with the new curriculum, but
that's
still,
awesome.
I mean, given the choice between video games and even doing fun math, video games win out.
Yeah. I mean, you can learn a lot from video games. So it's not all
I was
bad.
going to say there's plenty of math video games that you can play now, too.
Well, that's probably what I need to do a search for is math game. But yeah, well, I looked at that, but I don't know. I haven't done it seriously. And I don't give him unfettered access to the internet and just having to sit there with him while he plays,
Yeah, at 10 years old, the internet can be kind of a sticky place to hang out. But yeah,
just fine. Just point at me and say shitty parent. Might as well.
But no, I do remember, I think we did a Becca when I was a kid for a while. And I do remember just the mind numbing approach. I mean, and not to just, crap on a particular curriculum, but just saying there are definitely less engaging ways of doing math.
If you're math,
engaging ways of doing math.
So. Is it just staring at pictures of space and explaining the motion of celestial bodies? You're fucking teaching math wrong.
Okay, you designed that curriculum and we'll all buy it. How about that?
That's when you teach numbers and you're disembodying them from what they are and what they do. It's just, of course, it's fucking boring. But then you start making those numbers into algorithms and start making them into the geometry that they are, that literally explains everything in the universe around us.
Yeah, I don't know that he's ready for that at 10.
I think maybe he's more ready than you think he is.
But
I think everyone's ready for it.
It's possible.
And if not, you make him ready for it. Quit being a pussy.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
Calm down there.
I'm a little aggro sometimes. But as much as I care about math, I care more about music. And I'm curious how that factors into homeschooling for you. Certainly by 10, it has to come up.
It does. We have the homeschool community that we're with is called Classical Conversations. And we meet every Tuesday for 24 weeks during the year. And they have a little 30-minute section where they do, where they talk about, I think half the year. So for 12 weeks, they do they do a music lesson once a week for 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then last semester, we talked about composers and stuff like that. And then I play guitar, not very well, but I play guitar. And so we bought him an electric guitar last year for his 9th birthday.
Aw.
So I've been trying to kind of teach him how to play the guitar because he's pretty, as far as musically inclined, he kind of plays by ear. And so I'm trying to show him the chords. Like, because my parents bought me a guitar when I was 8. And it took a while to build the calluses up, and I didn't have enough whatever to want to do it at that time. And then whenever I took lessons, they like wanted me to do the scale, and I just found that so boring. And so
it's like listening to my dad's stories. Like, I wanted to play piano, and so they gave me lessons, and all they're doing is they keep putting this Bach and Mozart bullshit in front of me, and I want to play Jerry Lee Lewis.
Right.
And they won't let me play Jerry Lee Lewis, so fuck it.
Well, what I'm trying to, what I like better was like learning the chords. And then I'm like, okay, if I know the chords, then I can figure out, because I play by ear for the most part, then I can figure out, except I usually play in the key of G because I don't like to play any bar chords.
Okay.
So if it's like G, C, D, I'm totally good. I can play that.
She's missing so many major 7th chords in there.
I know. But if it requires a bar chord, I'm just like, I can't do a bar chord. Well, I could do it, but I'm just not. I'm lazy.
It's like, I don't care. I don't care about them that much.
No, I'm like, how can I put that in another?
And I'll be honest,
so that I don't have to play that.
Well, that gets you transposing. That's cool.
Well, and if you're playing classic country, I mean, there's no need for it.
Exactly. 3 chords is more than sufficient for what I'm
3
playing
chords,
for the most
2
part.
major, 1 minor. You're probably pretty good.
There you go.
Yeah, that's right. I can't play a mean E minor.
Now she's speaking my language. Because I begged my parents for guitar when I was like 14, 15. And I did. I went hard. I got all the calluses and everything. But I went for like the 1 lesson, and they gave me some piece of music that I just could not get the timing to.
Yeah.
And it just totally took the wind out of my sails.
Yeah, what I'm trying to do with him, and I don't know if this is the right approach, but it worked. It's what I liked better. So I'm trying to teach him chords so that he can actually play a song. I mean, if you can learn 3 chords, you can play a song as opposed to doing all these scales. And, maybe that's great, but, if he wants to get the girls, he just needs to play a tune or 2.
There you go.
He just needs to learn Jack Johnson and John Mayer.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, I doubt either of those is relevant today, but that's what I did in college.
And that worked for the girls.
Yeah, he's a pretty big fan of Ed Sheeran, so
that is probably what you'd play now.
That's probably the modern equivalent. Yeah, that makes sense.
I play a little Ed Sheeran, not for lack of not wanting to.
I like Ed Sheeran. Now, there are songs, like some of them I'm like, I don't want my kid singing that. I mean, he's 10. I don't want him telling people, put your body on me.
Yeah, I know. That can be super awkward. Like, there are songs that, in fact, my daughter does like that song. And I just, spontaneously, the thing skipped or something. We're going to skip that song. Because, it's weird when your kid's just like singing along with something that's
it's
totally
weird.
inappropriate.
It's weird is when you're in the middle of a grocery store and, you're the white dad. You're just like an early 30s white guy with this little brown baby in front of you, and then she's just in the middle of walking down the aisle, screams, "Hey, you! Get into my car!" and they don't know that she just really likes Billy Ocean. In their heads, they're trying to work out how to tackle the guy who presumably stole this child, and she's just parroting the last thing she heard in her terror.
Good times.
You're like, I'm never going to the grocery store with her again.
It was probably a while before I went without taking Mom, because at least Mom fills in the blanks.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, now it makes sense. I got you.
Yeah. Oh, now I get it. The 2 of you, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just me stealing young little black girls.
Jeez.
So, was that a total derailment, Liz?
No, that's fine. Conversation. I'm digging it.
That's right.
Where do you think?
That's right.
Where are you thinking about going here?
Me or you?
No, I'm talking
or
about.
Liz?
I'm talking to the wife.
Oh, okay. I was about to say
I'm looking at her saying, "Why don't you participate a little bit?" There's an awful lot of you not talking. In this particular episode.
I feel like we've covered a lot of the bases here.
We haven't talked about the precision bass. We haven't talked about the 6-string Schecter next to you.
Okay. I meant
it's literally just been the
baseball
Fender
metaphor bases.
It's literally just been the Fender Jazz this whole time. I'm kind of curious.
I feel like we should have video for this.
I know, right?
I can see what y'all are talking about.
I've been thinking about it.
We'd have to do some serious rearranging in the basement.
Yeah, that's just good.
Or just clean out one little corner. That's all you need.
The pretty corner.
No,
that's right. Everything else can look like a trash pit.
See, that means you've never taken pictures with a very dark person and a very light person before.
Well, I guess that's true.
We need to make some space. Add a little negative space. Get the good lighting in here. Truthfully, we have everything set up to do it. I don't have a good computer right now, and so I can't get it to do good audio and good video at the same time.
Yeah.
So I err on the side of the audio.
There you go. I mean, that's your bread and butter. So
yeah, one of these days I want to have like a chick flick podcast and talk about chick flicks with people and do video, but we're not there yet.
I could just talk about John Cusack movies.
We could just talk about John Cusack movies.
And I could just
that would be a really short conversation for me.
Really? No, not a fan?
That would be an endless conversation. I could sit here and talk about
I'm not saying I'm not a fan. Like Grosse Point Blank, I've watched that a couple of times.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm pretty positive between Grosse Point Blank and High Fidelity, I could probably get 2 seasons of podcasting out of. I'm pretty positive.
You might be a nerd. Just saying.
Yeah. I hero worship John Cusack for most of his life. And now fights the urge every day to go on and start shit on Twitter with him.
Yeah. So sad when our heroes
insufferable.
just turn out to be that guy.
Oh, yeah. I know. I've got to where because I'm kind of a Star Trek nerd.
Oh, okay. Now we have arrived at a subject I can talk about.
Here we go.
I went out and followed, all the people I liked on Star Trek.
Okay.
And then I slowly
something tells me she's a TNG person too.
I am. I mean, I was a teenager in the 90s.
I get the feeling that this is actually I think it's a Christian people's thing. Because you guys weren't allowed to be into magic. This is the closest thing
we could. It's technology. It's not magic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jesus gave us the technology.
It's just socialism.
Right. That's completely harmless. Wait, nope, not anymore. Never mind. Yeah, that is honestly the hardest thing about being a Trekkie now for me. Is I want to go join in the actual. There's an actual Federation group that meets now, but they're like,
wow.
Roddenberry was a total socialist, and we were all about that. And I'm like, not so much. I can't really sign off on that so much.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in a pretty traditional conservative home and Christian conservative. I was a Republican, blah, blah, blah. So this has been an interesting transition to over the past couple of years for me, to this kind of more liberty-based mindset.
I'm sure that it is. Because I can tell you right now, people like me were probably not welcome in most places where you were hanging out prior to that world.
Probably not.
But that's my
still
favorite part about this whole thing. Because
right.
I always say it's like, what world do me and Tom Woods find ourselves in the same place at? And this is the only one.
Yeah. Because you've got people from one end of the spectrum all the way to the other end. And now, like you said, I am a goody two-shoes. I'll completely own up to that. I've never been a bad girl and, never will be. I'm just not comfortable with that. But, I'm kind of, it's like, look, you do you and I'll do me, and you don't bother me and I won't bother you. I'm not going to try to force my religious beliefs on you, and you don't try to take my money, and we'll be good.
We had a guy in the Mises Caucus page the other day, and he was getting dangerously close to, we'll just say some ultra conservative alt-right nonsense. And so I swoop in.
Well, there is that pipeline,
I've heard that.
I've heard. Well, the fact of the matter is it to a degree, it is a real thing. Like, I won't say that it's not. There are those people who find their way over there, and I don't know that they ever truly believed in the principles, because I don't know how you get from the one to the other. If you do,
Yeah, I don't either.
But I love to swoop in because, number one, everyone paints the Mises Caucus as being like these ultra authoritarian Christian,
Right.
right winger kind of guys in the first place. Right. And I'm a moderator in the group, and I'm a state representative, and I'm bisexual in a mixed relationship, and and so, as much as I hate virtue signaling, it is a useful tool when you're combating the left. When I get to swoop in and be like, "Oh, really, bitch?"
Yeah.
Well, here, if you think they're so bigoted, why the fuck am I in charge?
Right.
That kind of thing. But yeah, because I literally had a guy the other day, and it was, and as I believe my response was, "Hey, I have no problem with you doing what you want to do. My question is, what are you going to do about," because he was starting to get into like the real serious HOPA stuff about, physical removal. And, when you start seeing that some of those guys take that shit to mean something that it is not libertarian personally. And so the question is, what are you going to do about me who just wants to go and find the people having the drug-infused orgy? Like, what are you going to do about me? And if your answer isn't just, I'm going to ignore you and let you do your thing over there.
Yeah.
Then we have a problem. But as long as that's your answer, we're good. And I'll do the same, respectfully.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys go and be boring over there, and that's cool.
Yeah.
So, but to me, that was the thing that always drew me into the ideology, is just the fact that we can all say, you know what? We don't necessarily want to play the same game, but we can all agree on this rule, right?
Right. Just leave people alone. Don't take their stuff.
Nothing makes you feel more sad and alone, like missing milestones. I finally realized home is where the heart breaks the most to be away from. So this summer will be my last. I'm going home and I'm never coming back. Baby, I'll never miss another milestone.
So y'all are coming to Austin in 2020, right?
Yes.
That is the plan.
Indeed. I'm super excited.
I've been posting
Yeah, that's
about
awesome.
it already, so we're going to be... I was talking to Michael Heiss this week. I got to try and figure out logistically how everything's going to work, because while I'm going to be down there for the convention, I'm also going to be down there for Childeberg. And they
I
overlap.
thought they were doing them at the same time.
They are. And so somehow I'm going to manage to make appearances at both of them.
We're just going to do that crazy sitcom thing, where you hop in and you say one thing and you sit at the dining table and then you run out to the bathroom and go to the other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I may have to
Well,
get to be a county affiliate as a guarantee I get my delegate status. Then there's a part of me, it's like, I don't know that I care about the actual party politics enough to get status.
right.
I feel like
Well,
I
I
owe
would-
it to Mike to do it the once at least.
Yeah. Well, I would just like to get some people who actually stand on principles. Because this party didn't have a chance in Hades of doing anything. The least they could do is stand on principle and get the principles out there.
Did you listen? Did you listen to the
We'd like
Dave
that.
Smith part of the problem interview with Nick?
I did.
Oh,
man.
I
geez.
did.
Vote for Hitler.
Right.
Like,
Wow.
Right.
Okay, I'll have to listen to that. That sounds like that took a turn.
well, he started with Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not much better.
If Cheney's on,
You know what would have been? You know what would have been funny is if he'd said if Tom Woods was on the ticket.
Oh, geez.
well, no, but to me, that was the thing that was the most hilarious in that whole thing. Is
Yeah.
because the whole thing was Tom Woods won't say he's not racist.
Right.
Tom Woods would never advocate voting for Hitler just because he had an L next to his name. Nick actually told you to vote for a Nazi if he had an L next to his name. Like, the memes write themselves at this point. Like,
Right.
we don't have to do or say shit. Like, you've decided this all on your own.
Okay, then.
Yeah, no, it was something.
Jeez. All right, then.
Oh yeah, you've got to watch it. And the debate's supposed to come out.
I believe the
tomorrow,
debate.
right?
I believe the debate is actually already out.
Ooh.
Somebody was
Okay.
right as we sat down to do this interview. One of my Mises Caucus guys was telling me they saw it posted somewhere.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right,
That'll be
well,
on
I
my
know.
to-do list for today.
Right? Yeah, I'm totally there with you.
But yeah, the part of the problem with him on it was like, and the crazy thing is, most of the people that I've hung out with as far as libertarians go, because I have to drive 2 or 3 hours to see any libertarians.
Well, all the libertarians in my county are Democrats, so.
Right. So, well, I mean, everybody here's a Republican. So even the ones that say they're libertarians are really pretty Republican leaning and still, kind of that authoritarian, we're going to put our moral code on you.
Yeah,
and if you don't abide by it, we're going to put you in a cage.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. No, I get it.
Boy.
I did an ad for something the other day, for something libertarian the other day, and like boosted it. I think it was asking about libertarians' messages and songs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I saw that.
I hid a bunch of the comments that it got because I didn't feel like I needed my friends commenting on this dude who thinks he's a libertarian and suggested Kid Rock.
Ugh.
Or the other guy who suggested Toby Keith.
Oh, gosh.
Good Lord.
We'll put a boot in there.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like these people who think
that's
they're
liberty,
libertarians,
right.
but really they're just neocons.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I just hid them immediately. I didn't delete them. It's like, you guys, hopefully nobody sees these and starts shit with you because I don't want to have to deal with that.
Yeah. Well,
Honest mistake.
Most of the people I've hung out with, as far as like meeting in person, have been either through, the Mises Institute at their events, and then also have gotten to know people that are in the Tom Woods elite group.
Oh, nice.
And just super nice people and very principled. And so I was at this Texans for Marijuana Policy Conference. I spoke at an event that they had down in Austin a couple weeks ago, or over Labor Day weekend. And I met this girl who was a libertarian, and I was like, oh, she's a libertarian. So I don't know if y'all are like this, but like my eyes light up and I'm like, yay.
It's a unicorn in person.
Exactly. So I sat down to talk to her, and she was talking about how some guy was an a-hole, and because he was talking about climate change, and she brought up the fact that the science behind it is all BS. And that should have been my first hint. It's like, okay, we're here at a cannabis event. Why are you trying to argue with somebody about climate change? I mean, it's like, pick your battles and pick the place where you are.
Yeah.
So that should have been my first clue to move along. But then I was like, oh, so you're a libertarian. She's like, oh, yeah, and started talking about stuff. And then somehow we got on the subject of party leadership. And, I said that the nominee in 2016, I felt that they missed a huge opportunity by nominating Gary Johnson, because I wasn't going to vote for Trump and I wasn't going to vote for Hillary Clinton. And Gary Johnson just seemed like a joke. So I wasn't going to vote for him either. And I felt like the party should be more principled.
See, I feel like that's a better reason to vote for Gary Johnson, because he was a joke. But let's make a mockery of this bitch.
Well, and I probably feel a little bit more about that now than I did then. But, I was raised, we vote, that's our civic duty, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, we have any hope of affecting anything on a federal level. But that was just something that we were told that we needed to do. So, I do what I'm told, That's changed a little bit. I'm a little more whatever to that now, but sitting there talking to this girl, and I said,
imagining Rachel as the hippie of her family.
Oh, y'all have no idea. I waited
She's
months.
like still a buttoned up conservative in there.
Oh my gosh.
Look at the hippie.
Okay. So let me tell you this story. So like 2 years ago on Thanksgiving, I had bought a guy in the Tom Woods group was selling t-shirts. And so I'd bought this anarchy t-shirt. And it's something like says disobedience is, I don't know, I can't remember now what it says, but it's got the sign for anarchy on it. Well, I love this shirt, so I wear it. And I took it with me to my parents and put it on. And my dad was apoplectic. I thought he was going to have a stroke when he saw my shirt.
Was that why you wore it?
No, I had no idea that it would trigger him like that.
Dad's outlived its usefulness. Let's get him.
Oh, geez.
And I mean, I love my parents. You know, I was always a very respectful child. And as a goody two shoes, you know, I did what they told me to do and didn't really have a rebellious phase. And I wore that shirt and my dad's like, you know what that is, don't you? I said, yeah, it's anarchy. I said, anarchy. And he's like, well, they just don't want any rules. I'm like, Dad, that's not what anarchy is. It's not no rules. It's just no rulers. And my mom chimed in. She said, well, without rulers, we wouldn't have had King David. I said, well, Mom, the way it was written in the Bible, we shouldn't have had King David.
This is true. God did kind of say that was a bad idea. He's like, I mean, y'all can do it, but
he's like, but this is all the crap that's going to do to you if you set up these I
think that was
manly
probably
rulers.
That's the like, and don't get me wrong, like I understand on an academic level the anthropological reasons why religion exists, and I hope that at some point the world can shrug off a need for it. But I will say that I do at least appreciate the no king but Christ community.
Mm-hmm.
Like at least if you're going to be doing that whole thing, you could be a reasonable fucking person. And I feel like they kind of get that down. I get to brag to all my liberal friends that, hey, no, it's not all Christians. You're just looking at the wrong ones. You're looking at the Republican hypocrites. These are the people where it's at.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and if it's all voluntary, then what difference does it make to somebody who's an atheist or an agnostic, whether or not somebody chooses to follow the principles?
From the liberal, quote unquote, perspective,
mm-hmm.
I mean, religion's been responsible for basically all of the most horrible things that have ever happened. In part also because religion and the state have been seriously fucking intertwined for all of history.
Right.
Religions were your states. And then that kind of shifted and we've moved to a different model. And I'm glad for that. And hopefully, evolution keeps going and we just get rid of the feature entirely. But you can't see Liz patting me in the back like, honey, just stop right now.
Seriously, y'all need video. That would be fun to watch.
Yes, the faces that she makes at me are quite hysterical. But I almost find it's more hysterical for me to try and describe the faces so that you see that I am completely aware that they're happening.
And completely ignoring the cue.
Yes.
Right, exactly. She's
trying
like,
to kick the soapbox.
Here's her social cue, and here's my middle finger.
Good times.
Oh, my goodness.
So anyway, I waited months to tell my parents that I was going. After that episode, I waited months to tell my parents that I was starting my own firm focusing on legal cannabis companies.
Yeah.
You would have thought that I told them that I was whoring myself out for crack.
Oh, jeez.
I'm actually wondering if that may have not been a better decision to tell them.
Maybe so.
Because in the Bible, it is the oldest profession, and Jesus did hang out with a whore. So at least it had that going.
That's right.
Oh, jeez.
So it has not been, it's been challenging for them to kind of accept me in this different way of thinking.
I can't imagine that paradigm. And it's just, I will say that I think most of my life has been training my parents in how to deal with things. Because I am not one to. I will say I'm one of the rare people that really probably never was a Democrat or a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
I have 100% always been fuck authority. Like I'm not going to listen to what the fuck anyone tells me. I'm going to forge my own path. And so when I found this shit and found libertarianism, it just fit like a glove. I'm like, ooh, they're so shiny. I like these.
Yeah.
Where have you been all my life? It makes everything make sense. This is the justification for everything I've ever believed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is odd because most people do not. They were not always anarchists. They philosophically. And,
I think those folks are few and far between.
Yeah.
it's the really damaged ones of us.
I feel like though, if nothing else about you changes, just you recognize this thing and you're willing to stand up for it. I should like to think that your family will kind of be like, oh, okay, well maybe that's a reasonable thing that they've come to because of something they've learned, as opposed to just like, oh, they lost their minds.
Well,
Right.
I think the reason I was commenting on that was because to me it's funny. Like in high school, I think my parents kind of gave up on even having an opinion of my life for the most part.
Yeah.
Let alone as an adult, I can't imagine them having much to say.
Yeah.
Occasionally they'll say things to Liz, which will make it back to me, and then I firmly extol them for, what the fuck are you doing getting in here? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's a Southern thing or more of a Christian thing. I don't know which.
Perhaps the sandwich of all of the above.
Yeah, I missed
Probably
Bob
so.
Lou.
Probably so.
Right on, Rachel. Well, we have held you up much later than we intended because I didn't wake my ass up, and I actually have to get to work myself. I think I'm running late now.
Yikes.
I care only so much. But is there anything you want to plug, where you want to send people so we can make sure to get them to check out Cannabis Heals Me and whatever else you'd like them to check out?
Sure. Well, if they are interested in listening to the podcast, they can find it on all the major podcast apps, and it's called Cannabis Heals Me. Or if they want to check out the website, it's www.cannabishealsme.com.
Nice.
That's all I want to plug.
And if you want to
Because
get
nobody wants to hear about accounting.
I think accounting is actually super interesting, but that's for another show.
And that's why I
think
like you.
tax evasion is super interesting. So
Oh, it is super interesting, but the downside is pretty bad.
I thought that was your
it's
entire
deep.
job. I thought that was your entire job was to justify tax evasion from a legal
Evasion
standpoint.
is not the word that we like to use, Nick.
No.
It has a
we like
very
to call
negative
it
connotation.
We like to call it deduction maximization.
There you go.
That is absolutely correct. That is taking advantage of the tax laws to maximize your tax deduction. We avoid the word evasion at all costs.
Yes.
So, and just so you know, Rachel, I do officially have the Liberty Hippie feed up and running.
Sweet.
I had to reapply with Apple because after it never went through with Apple for some reason, and I was getting the runaround with Anchor. So I yesterday actually went and reapplied with them. So once that happens, it'll basically be everywhere.
Awesome.
But I
That's
have
cool.
actually been updating the feed and stuff. So
Okay. Well, thank you very much for inviting me to be on the feed. I was kind of surprised because
well, no, I think
Like,
it's good
I'm a
branding.
goody two shoes. I'm about as far from a hippie as one can get, but I like the way you explained it.
It's. I think your demeanor. I'm going to be honest. You're not much different than all of my hippie family that are hippies. Like most of them became Christian later in life.
Yeah.
So they're all kind of, it's to me the hippie thing's more of a demeanor than anything.
Mm.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, like if I start another network, it'd be like the Punk Rock Network, which I feel weird being on the Liberty Hippie Network because I think of myself perhaps in that light. I don't know that I come off that way. Ben definitely.
Oh, Ben is total.
Yeah.
He's the quintessential hippie.
And I gotta get Luke to actually start giving me episodes to get up there. I actually, you don't by chance know the Voluntary Vixens girls, do you?
I do not. I've never heard of them before. But now I have to check them out.
I actually just talked about them this week on This Week in Liberpods. But they, I know that one of them is like a yoga instructor and was burning sage the last episode I listened to.
Nice.
So I really
that's funny.
I really want to try and get them on the network too. I think
Well,
currently
they would have had to email you something, right, to put it on the network.
Well,
Or put it
I
on
mean,
Liberpods?
I gotta get in contact with them. Is what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
And approach them and
Gotcha.
say, hey, I really want you to come over here. Currently, they distribute on the Make Liberty Great Again network.
Okay.
But I'm not trying to poach anybody from like the things that they already do. I just want to see if I can create this branded thing and get people interested in it.
Yeah, I think it's cool the way you explained it to me. It sounds awesome.
And we'll see if it actually works. Because that's so much of it. So, anyways, Rachel, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us. And
Yeah, my
can't wait to
pleasure.
get this out.
All right. Sounds great, Nick. It's nice talking to you and Liz.
Thanks.
We'll have to do it again sometime, Liz, and tell Nick to shut up.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Rachel, I tell her every episode to talk more. Please give me the break.
I feel that way with my husband. He's the quiet one. I'm the talker.
Oh, there you go.
Well, don't get me wrong. Shutting me up is a task. Like, it is not something that's going to come easy. But
Yeah.
I feel like what she has to say is important enough to take the effort.
Yeah.
What's really hilarious is when she met my family for the first time and everything became clear to her.
Yes.
When she realized that conversation isn't something that people, just get to do.
It's a full contact sport in his family.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Dagos.
That'll be fun.
A bunch of fucking Italian people.
There you go.
Like, literally, the winner of the conversation is he who is loudest.
Oh, wow.
And probably fastest. If you get the information out there quicker, that's usually a good parry. So
Yeah.
You have a good one there, Rachel.
All right, y'all too. Take it easy.
Well, the door guy had enough. I still forget they don't like me when I get shitty. You gotta forgive me, I'm not even with it enough to entertain these thoughts, let alone getting up from underneath this bottle. Well, I always travel down alleyways in the shadier side of town. I will be alright just as soon as I medicate all parts of me. Medicate.
That's right, people. Star Trek got into that conversation. It's always a success for me when that happens. I hope you
consider it a
enjoyed
failure
that.
on humanity.
I hope you enjoyed that because
Let's talk about something
did.
real, like Firefly.
I mean, Firefly is legit. I'm not.
It's
gonna
way
argue
better.
with that, but
The only problem with Firefly is that, much like Star Trek, it was created by a statist fuckbag. How a statist fuckbag like Joss Whedon manages to create the greatest libertarian show ever is beyond me. But goddamn, did he? Sorry, I'm over here getting queer for Firefly.
I think the thing is that they know enough. They don't actually want to like accept it into their space.
They're not ready to join the church?
I guess.
It's a fucking problem on their part.
If we're gonna take it there, sure.
We're bringing it back to the analogy from the beginning.
Right.
We're doing a callback. That's what it's called.
Oh, it's a callback. Okay.
That wasn't a callback. I don't know what that was.
Sorry. Anyways, we're gonna direct you guys. If you want to find out more about that interview or about our fabulous guest, just check out our website and the show notes there. You can get all the links to all sorts of stuff that we talked about, and
Sounds like Liberty.com. Is that what that website was, Liz?
I was getting there.
No, you weren't.
Okay.
And if you were taking far too long at it.
Well, I'm sorry. Sounds like
These people's time is precious. Don't steal it from them.
Just check out soundslikeliberty.com and you'll find all the things. And I'll stop talking about the things. I'll just say, check out soundslikeliberty.com.
But you still
thanks
need to
for
talk
listening.
about them. You still need to talk about the things.
I did talk about the things.
Oh my God. So we want to give a shout out to some good friends. I think this is a thing to do. We need. I love the community. I love the ANCAP community.
The community is pretty awesome.
So if you're looking for something new and you haven't discovered This Week in Liberpod yet, I recommend going out and listening to Actual Anarchy, which are our good friends Rob and Daniel, as they do film reviews from an anarcho-capitalist perspective.
Yeah, they were doing Straight Outta Compton the other day. I was like, dang, guys.
It's great. And if you don't want to listen to the more ANCAP-y parts of it, you You can get the cleaned out version on the Launchpad called Last Nighters.
Yes.
You can share with your normie friends.
It's a little less in your face.
I don't know how many normie friends you still have. I don't have many. They got rid of me a long time ago.
I mean, everybody's got somebody.
Tell me, are you that somebody? Tell me, are you that somebody? Baby girl. I'm a man from the BB8. All right, folks.
Okay. Anyways.
Thanks for listening to another episode. If you got feedback, please let us know. Otherwise, have a good one. Peace. I'm going to wait until you say something, Liz, and you're not getting out of it this time.
Love and peace.